The Northeast Corridor is the most important rail route in the United States. Every day, hundreds of thousands of passengers travel between Washington, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston along this single rail spine. Together, this corridor supports nearly 20% of the entire U.S. economy. But right now, this entire system depends on two fragile tunnels built more than a century ago beneath the Hudson River. If just one of those tunnels fails, the disruption could cost the American economy up to $100 million every single day. So why is the United States now preparing to spend $16 billion to build a brand new tunnel under the Hudson? But what happens if these tunnels fail before the new ones are ready? This is the Hudson Tunnel project, the centerpiece of one of the most important infrastructure projects in modern America. To understand the scale of this challenge, we need to look at the Gateway program.
The Gateway Tunnel project finally gets the green light.
The $16 billion price tag.
Work on the nation's biggest transportation effort known as the Gateway Tunnel project.
This is not just a tunnel project. It is a massive overhaul of the rail connection between New Jersey and New York City, one of the busiest transportation corridors in the world. Please take a moment to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel. The critical section stretches roughly 10 miles between Newark and New York Penn Station. Every single day, more than 450 trains pass through this corridor, carrying commuters and intercity passengers along the Northeast Corridor. But engineers describe the system as brittle. There are only 2 tracks beneath the Hudson River. That means the entire network has almost no backup capacity. Even a small problem, a signal failure, a broken wire, or a stuck train door can ripple across the entire system. A delay that begins in New Jersey can quickly spread across the Northeast Corridor, affecting trains from Boston to Washington, D.C. In other words, a single failure beneath the Hudson River can disrupt transportation across the entire East Coast. The tunnels carrying all this traffic are known as the North River Tunnels. They opened in 1910, built by the Pennsylvania Railroad as one of the most advanced engineering projects of their time. For decades, they worked exactly as intended, but they were designed for the rail system of the early 20th century, not the massive passenger demand of the modern Northeast Corridor. And then, in 2012, a storm changed everything. When Hurricane Sandy struck the East Coast in 2012, the Hudson River surged into the tunnels. Millions of gallons of salt water flooded the tubes, completely filling them. The water was eventually pumped out, but the damage had already begun. Salt penetrated the concrete walls and reached the steel reinforcements inside. Electrical systems corroded, signal equipment deteriorated, and slowly the structural strength of the tunnels began to weaken. For more than a decade, maintenance crews have been fighting to keep the tunnels operational. They typically have just 4 hours each night between the final train and the first morning commute to perform emergency repairs. But there is a fundamental problem. You cannot truly rebuild a tunnel while hundreds of trains are still using it every day. Think of it like trying to replace the engine of a car while driving down the highway at 70 miles per hour. That is essentially what maintaining the North River tunnels has been like for the past decade. To properly repair them, train traffic has to move somewhere else first. And that means building an entirely new tunnel. The answer is the Hudson Tunnel project. This plan will construct 2 brand new rail tunnels beneath the Hudson River, connecting New Jersey directly to Manhattan. Once those tunnels are finished, train traffic can shift into the new tubes. That will allow engineers to completely rebuild the original 1910 tunnels. When everything is finished, the corridor will finally operate with 4 tracks instead of 2. This will double capacity and provide something the system currently lacks: redundancy. If one tunnel needs repairs, trains can simply use another. For the first time in over a century, the Northeast Corridor would finally have a safety buffer. But building tunnels beneath one of the busiest waterways in America is far from simple. For years, the Gateway program faced repeated political delays. Funding disagreements between federal and state governments stalled progress again and again. Then in late 2025, the project faced another major crisis. A federal funding dispute froze more than $200 million in reimbursements, halting construction activity. By early February 2026, the situation reached a breaking point. More than 1,000 workers were laid off, and work at several construction sites along the corridor came to a temporary standstill. For a brief moment, it looked like the project might stall yet again. But the response from New York and New Jersey was immediate and forceful. The two states sued the federal government, and on February 6th, a federal judge intervened, ordering the immediate release of the frozen funds. Within days, the money began to flow back. By February 18th, 2026, every dollar that had been withheld was finally restored. Crews are now preparing to return to the riverbed, and the project is moving forward once again. Now the most difficult part begins. To build the tunnels, engineers must drill through several different geological layers. On the New Jersey side, tunnel boring machines will first cut through the Palisades, a massive wall of extremely hard volcanic rock called diabase. But once they pass through the rock, conditions change dramatically. The machines enter Hudson River silt. This material behaves more like wet clay than solid ground. Without reinforcement, tunnels bored through this soft sediment could collapse. To stabilize the ground, engineers are injecting large volumes of grout into the riverbed from barges above. This creates a reinforced zone that allows the tunnel boring machines to safely pass through the unstable soil. Then comes the final challenge: Manhattan itself. The new tunnels must carefully weave between existing subway lines, deep sewer systems, and the massive structural foundations beneath the Hudson Yards development. It's like threading a needle beneath one of the densest cities on Earth. To complete the project, engineers will deploy two enormous tunnel boring machines. Each machine will be nearly 500 feet long and weigh more than 1,600 tons. These machines will slowly carve their way beneath the Hudson River over several years. If construction continues on schedule, the new tunnels could open by 2035. The fully expanded 4-track corridor would follow by 2038. Critics often point to the $16 billion cost as proof that the project is too expensive, and they have a point. If the tunnels had been built when the project was first proposed in 2010, the cost would likely have been under $9 billion. Years of delays and political disagreements pushed the price higher, but the cost of failure would be far greater. If the century-old tunnels suffer a catastrophic failure before replacements are ready, the Northeast Corridor could face a transportation collapse that no highway expansion could replace. And the tunnels are not the only weak point in this corridor. Just a few miles away in New Jersey, the century-old Portal Bridge has also become infamous for getting stuck open, repeatedly halting train traffic along the entire route. In fact, as of February 17, 2026, NJ Transit and Amtrak began a month-long transition to a brand-new replacement bridge, causing significant service disruptions, but marking a major step toward modernizing the corridor. Together, these aging structures form one of the most fragile pieces of infrastructure in the American economy. For more than a century, the North River tunnels have quietly carried the economic lifeline of the East Coast beneath the Hudson River. But their time is running out. Now, after decades of delays and debate, construction of their replacement is finally underway. The machines are preparing to dig. Funding is flowing again. And one of the most important infrastructure projects in the United States is entering its most critical phase. The question is no longer whether America can build this tunnel. The real question is whether it can afford not to.